Hi, I'm Malvin and I'm forging this beautiful one-handed sword. In the last episode we finished the guard and the pommel. Okay, not finished, but roughly finished. We made it so far. And in this episode it's time to actually harden the blade, which is the scariest step of all because so much can go wrong. It can crack, it can warp, everything can happen, and I will obviously avoid that. And to be able to avoid that nicely, I still have a piece of steel left, this right here. And what I'm going to do now is I will cut myself off a little part of this, forge it out, and then harden it. Why forge it? Because when forging the steel, the crystal structure changes and there will be bigger and smaller crystals, how it happened in the blade. And this piece here is perfect, like there are no big or small crystals in here, so when I harden this it will go perfectly. But the sword isn't like this, so I will forge it, then normalize it, and then harden it. After hardening the piece, I will do a few tests. I will break it to see how the grain structure looks, because I want to have it nice and small. The grain has to be really small and even, so that in the end the piece is really strong. And then after I broke it, I will use the rest of it and temper it. Like the steel has to go up to I think 400 degrees to be suitable for a sword. For a knife it would be more around 180. So then I will harden it and try to break it again, and hopefully, no, not harden it, temper it, and hopefully then I won't be able anymore to break it. Let's hope for the best. Let's go. One more thing before I start. I have constructed myself this beautiful simple forge. By the way, if you want to start forging, this is the best way to create yourself a simple forge. I have this pipe right here, which is connected really badly with tape. And I have drilled myself dozens of holes in there. And all of this is connected by a pipe to my beautiful compressor. That means that I will be able to control perfectly the pressure and amount of air to control the heat of the fire. So now the first thing I'm going to do is to actually start a fire and test if it works how I expect it to do, and then use this to forge and harden the steel I'm testing on. As you can see, I've started my fire. Unfortunately, the compressor is really loud, and since it's a bad one, it has to work almost all the time. But as you can see, the air works really well. You can see it how the flames go. It's not like normal flames, they go much faster than they would if it would be normal flames. So the airflow works perfectly.
Veins, I've been driving this train, years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day. I get lost in the words.
Now the steel should be in theory totally normalized, because it's cooled down completely. And what I will do now is I'm going to put it again in the forge and then heat it up to a nice hardening temperature, which is around 870 to 900 degrees. And then I'm going to quench it in oil and see what's going to happen and how hard it's going to be. Wish me luck.
I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say, and I'm up again.
Well, here you can see a few really interesting things. First of all, the majority of material has a really nice and fine grain structure, which is exactly how I want it for the sword. But as you can see in the down left corner, the grain structure is really dull and really big. I am not quite sure what happened there, but I have two theories. One, the normalizing didn't work perfectly there. And second, in the moment of hardening, it was too hard at this point. But I can't really explain what happened. Now I am tempering my test piece. That means that I am heating it up to about 400 degrees. Usually a knife you would temper at 180 degrees, but since it's a sword it has to be really flexible and not that hard or sharp, it can be easily heated up to 400 degrees. Let's hope it works, because usually you do it in the oven, but I don't have a big oven where I can fit my whole sword, so it has to work like this. And now I'm going to try to break it again, and let's see what happens. Wish me luck. Wait, where are my goggles? Here they are. Well, that is quite successful. Let's use a bit more force and see if I can manage to break it. Let's hope not, but let's see. No chance at all. I am so happy right now. If this works, it will work also on the big sword. I am so happy. This means I know how to heat treat my piece. Nice! Okay, now that I have tested my test piece, it is actually time to harden the blade. I am so anxious about all the things that can go wrong. The worst thing that can happen is that the blade bends and I have to redo it, maybe over and over again. This would really be the worst case scenario. But let's hope everything goes well. And I'm really going to do everything possible to make it not bend. So here's my sword. I will harden it today. And I have even bought myself this beautiful infrared thermometer, don't mind me if the word's wrong, to measure the temperature of the blade, so I actually get the right temperature for each step. The first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to light my fire and then heat up the steel to about 850 to 900 degrees. Keep it a bit at this heat and then let it cool down again to room temperature, so everything inside the steel normalizes. Well, I think now is the right moment to actually put the sword in. Let's hope it's not enough, let's hope it works. I have no idea, but it seems to be working, so let's wish me luck. Okay, now that the right temperature is achieved and I hold it for about, I don't know how much, but about 15 to 20 minutes it holds the temperature already. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to let it sit like this. I will take away the burning wood, and then I will let it sit like this, so that everything will cool down very, very slowly. So the sword will cool down together with the carbon. That means that it will take hours to actually cool down to the heat, to room temperature, which will give the steel the time to really form the nice and even structure I want in the end. So yeah, that's what will happen right now. Okay, well, there's a difficulty I didn't expect to happen, and unfortunately at the moment I saw it, I didn't have the camera with me, but I had to fix it instantly. And the problem was that the blade, which is in theory normalized now, did bend like an S shape. Like up here it went up, and here it went down like a perfect S. It not as hard as I'm showing it right now, but kind of badly. So I went there at my vise, clamped it in and bent it straight again. But now I'm even more anxious about what will happen when I quench it in my oil tank. But what I will do now is I'm going to heat it up again to the normalizing temperature and let it cool down at the air. And while it is cooling down, or just in the beginning, I will straighten out all the bends that hopefully won't happen, but if there will be any bends, I will straighten them out in hot state, so that the normalizing process will turn it like, how do I say it correctly? That the normalizing process will then adapt to the new shape and the stresses will be gone. Like, because right now probably there are still a few stresses in. And then after, when I heat it up to the heat treating temperature, and directly after I quenched it, I will quench it only really shortly, because I don't need that much of a hardness. Like, I will crunch it, leave it a little bit in, pull it out, and then instantly clamp it between two really strong straight oak pieces in the vise and with two clamps, so that then hopefully, if there are any warps, the rest heat and those clamps will straighten it. Because already once with a knife I succeeded with this technique, so let's hope it works also with the sword. Just wish me luck. I'm praying right now. It's just so beautiful. It's perfectly straight, no problem at all. It's hard, I can show you. No, wait, I dropped my file down the hole, so I can't show you, but I will in a second. It's perfectly hard and it's just straight. I have no idea how it could go this well, because as I told you before, I really had a problem. It had an S-curve like this and then again like this. And when I pull it out of the heat, out of the oil, it was perfectly straight. My heart just jumped. I was so happy. Now it's already the next day, but then yesterday, as you saw, I put in the pieces of wood and I let it in there until the evening, and yeah, then I pulled it out and it was still perfectly straight, better than I could ever imagine. It's just wonderful. Now it's time to do the tempering, where I will heat it up to about 400 degrees to take out all the stressed and fragile structure of the hardening, because right now if I would bend it like this I would just break it without any doubt. But when I do now the last bit of the heat treating, the tempering, it will gain all the flexibility it needs as a sword and be almost like a spring. Then I will be able to bend it and it will just snap back to where it belongs. So that's the next step. Let's get to work. I've got a nice light blue color over the whole length of the blade, and also when it was in the fire my thermometer told me that it had exactly the degrees I wanted, like from 400 to maximum 430, 450, and that is exactly what I wanted to achieve with this blade. That means now in theory it should be really nicely as soft/hard as I wanted. And yeah, I will do another file test now because it should be much softer than before, and then I will do a bend test and see what happens. Well, yes, it is still nice and hard, but a tiny little bit softer. And what I'm going to do just for security, and no, just for safety, I will do the same thing another time, so that it takes out even more of the brittleness and stresses, like, I don't know how to call it correctly in English, that are still in the blade, so that it will definitely not break when I use it. Okay, let's do the bend test. Nice, that works just as it should. Okay, at this point I am going to finish the episode. Thank you all for watching. This was one of the most intense episodes of the whole series. I heat treated my blade and it's perfect. I'm so happy. In the next episode I will finish the blade and maybe also finish the whole sword. If you liked it, leave a like and maybe even follow me, because in future there will be much more content like this. I love you guys. See you.